Put your hands together for Ski. So, I come off as a mild-mannered kind of guy with a cool mustache.
Nah.
But, I really like arguing on the internet. And I know it accomplishes seemingly nothing.
Trolling.
But I really like it. If nothing else, oh, hi. Hey. But if nothing else, what it does is it gives me a chance to think about things I would not have otherwise have spent the research time researching. The kind of anger necessary to say, well, you're fucking wrong, needs to be backed by something a little more solid. Well, one of the things that I have a lot of friends from the Army, and a good number of my friends from the Army from the South, and a recurring theme I hear from them scattered throughout the years is the Civil War, or as the South calls it, the War of Northern Aggression. Seriously. One of the things they'd like to say about it is it was not about slavery. The reason the South tried to secede was not primarily about slavery. What it was about states' rights. Do the states have the ability to form their own laws? Do they have their ability to be a separate thing, a real solid separate entity from the federal government? And the problem is this is actually fairly easy to call bullshit on. And I'm going to read you some of these, I'm sorry, but that's bullshit things, because I think it's an interesting thing to know. When several of the states voted to secede, they not only crafted laws to say exactly how debt would be transferred, how they're going to organize things, and maybe changed up how the Constitution was done in their state, but they also made declarations of secession that told people or the world or whoever cared why they were leaving the Union. This is from Georgia, and it's a touch dry, but the people of Georgia, having dissolved their political connection with the government of the United States of America, present to their Confederates and the world the causes which have led to the separation. The last 10 years, we have had numerous and serious causes of complaint against our non-slaveholding Confederate states with reference to the subject of African slavery. They have endeavored to weaken our security, to disturb our domestic peace and tranquility, and persistently refused to comply with their express constitutional obligations to us in reference to that property, and by the use of their power in the federal government, have striven to deprive us of an equal enjoyment of the common territories of the Republic. Now, up until this point, the Mason-Dixon line had separated slaveholding states from non-slaveholding states. But as the United States expanded west, the fights took on more and more anger and vitriol as the North wanted to make sure that there was a place at which slaveholding states simply stopped. And this is one of the things that led to this. One of the other things they mentioned in these declarations a lot is the failure of the federal government to turn over fugitives from the law, by which they mean either abolitionists or runaway slaves. It's mentioned over and over in here. So even in the places where it doesn't actually say, by gun, they're going to take our slaves, what they mean is, by gun, they're not stopping other people from taking their slaves. This is from, that's actually the word, we're going to say that one for last. That's just incredible. And this one, from South Carolina, the same articles of the Constitution stipulates also for rendition by several states of fugitives from justice from the other states. For many years these laws were executed, but an increasing hostility on the part of non-slaveholding states to the institution of slavery has led to a disregard of their obligations. We affirm that these ends for which the government was instituted have been defeated, and that the government itself has been made destructive of them by the action of the non-slaveholding states. Those states have assumed the right of deciding upon the property of our domestic institutions, and have denied the rights of property established in 15 of the states and recognized by the Constitution. They have denounced as sinful the institution of slavery. They have permitted open establishment amongst them of societies whose avowed object is to disturb the peace and to allure the property and citizens of other states. They have encouraged and assisted thousands of our slaves to leave their homes, and those who remain have been incited by their emissaries, books, and pictures to servile insurrection. And from the state of Mississippi, Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest in the world. Its labor supplies the product, which constitutes by far the largest and most important portions of commerce of the earth. The products are peculiar to the current climate verging on the tropical regions, and by an imperious law of nature, none but the black race can bear exposure to the tropical sun. These products have become necessities of the world, and at a blow at slavery is a blow to commerce and civilization itself. That blow has long been aimed at the institution and was at the point of reaching its consummation. There was no choice left to us but submission to the mandates of abolition or dissolution of the Union, whose principles have subverted to work out our rule. And finally, Texas. She was received into the Confederacy with her own constitution under the guidance of the federal constitution and the compact of annexation that she should enjoy these blessings. She, Texas, was received as a Commonwealth holder, maintaining and protecting the institution known as Negro slavery, the servitude of the African to the white race within her limits, a relation that has existed from the first settlement of her wilderness by the white race, and which her people intend should exist in all future time. Her institutions and geographical position established by the strongest ties between her and other slaveholding states of the Confederacy. Those ties have been strengthened by association of what has been the course of the government of the United States and the people and the authorities of non-slaveholding states since our connection with them. So when somebody tells you that the Civil War was not about slavery, these are statements by the people who made those decisions to leave the Union, to start the Civil War, and they expressly, or somewhat obliquely, describe the problem at hand being slavery and its abolition, its impending abolition. So, yes, it was about states' rights, but it was about the states' rights to hold people in bondage indefinitely for no pay and no hope. So they can say, yes, it was about states' rights, but you are also perfectly capable of saying, it was about slavery. You wanted slavery. They wanted slavery to continue. And finally, the Vice President of the Confederacy. The leading statesmen at the time of the formation of the old Constitution believed that the enslavement of the African was in violation of the laws of nature, that it was wrong in principle, socially, morally, and politically. They believed it was an evil they knew not how to deal with, but the general opinion of the men of that day was that somehow or another, in the order of providence, the institution would be evanescent and pass away. This idea, though not incorporated in the Constitution, was a prevailing idea at that time. Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite idea. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the history of the world based upon this great physical, philosophical, and moral truth. So if the states themselves say it, and the Vice President of the Confederacy says it, this isn't some liberal conspiracy to twist the past to new means. In fact, this is the exact opposite. This is somebody else twisting the past in order to try to glorify some history that didn't really exist. So if you come across it in your arguments, like I come across it in mine, I just thought you might like to know. And there's a difference between the declaration of the causes and what are called the ordinances. So if somebody says it's not in the laws at all, well, it's not in the laws, it's not in the ordinances. You have to look at what they were saying, their justifications and reasons why. And those are the causes. So thank you very much. It's a rather small crowd tonight, but I would like to thank everybody for showing up, for participating in this. I would like to ask you to come back again and grace us with your presence another time, because this is how these things get started. We lost a lot of people when we moved from Artist Corner to here. There were 2 months where we cast around trying to find a new place. And in those 2 months, people who we could have perhaps moved over to this new place have scattered. And it's taken me some time to find people and tell them that we move someplace else. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm glad you found our stage, and I hope you find it again next week or at some point in the near future. As is traditional, I'm emceeing. We're going to end with the closing song. You are all welcome to sing along with. That makes songs good. But not yours. I mean, yours is good with that dancing, but the sing along is really awesome. But I'm not singing that. I'm singing a different sing along. Why are there small
rainbows? What's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. Rainbows have nothing to hide. So many been told and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday you'll find it, the rainbow connection. The lovers, the dreamers,